A lot of people don't understand and don't realize that they are actually sabotaging their own growth because of the fear of change. So you say to yourself, money is not everything. But in reality, you're just afraid to step out of that comfort zone, step out to the unknown. So you fear the unknown, you fear change and the unknown. So you're like, who needs that much money anyway? Money is not everything, because you're comfortable with the life that you have right now. You're used to it. It's a routine. It's a habit. And you might be afraid of the unknown because you've never been there. You never, like if you have never had $1 million in your bank account, it might be a little bit scary. What am I going to do with this money? Will I even know what to do with it? Will I know how to distribute it? Will I know how to use it wisely? So a lot of the times you are actually sabotaging your own growth because you're afraid what it's going to do in your life. Hello everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Dominika and I'm so excited to be here live on Facebook with you once again. Today we have a very, very special topic. And today's topic is we have in store Truth Talk Thursday. And I want to speak to you about fear that's sometimes disguised as being practical or being realistic. Oftentimes, we think that we are just being realistic, that we are just being practical, and this is why we are not going after what we really want in life. We often think that this is the truth, you know, it's better to be realistic, you can't always be positive non-stop, but in reality, it might be your own fears stopping you from going after the life of your dreams. And I want to share with you, I made a list of some of the things we as humans say, when in reality, oftentimes, they are just rooted in fear. And you might not realize this, but I want to show you today how much fear can stop you from going towards what you really want, okay? And I want to help you get rid of those fears, the most important, right? To get rid of those fears, because why would you stay in fear when you have been created in the image of God? You have been created so beautifully and wonderfully, and you are meant to have a beautiful, abundant life. So I want to help you get rid of some fears that maybe you didn't even realize you have. Oh, hello, Sniedze. How are you doing? So happy to see you, girl. I'm so happy that you're here. Today is going to be a great topic. Okay? So listen to this. Sometimes you might be saying stuff like this, but in reality, there is a deep-rooted fear, and this is why you're saying it. So, for example, it's best to have a normal, stable job. It's best to have a normal, stable job. And the reason why you might be saying that to yourself is because in reality, you actually fear failure, or you have the need of stability. You're afraid of being different. You're afraid of, debt. You're afraid of lack of money and stuff like that. You're afraid of instability in your life. So a lot of people actually have that because instead of actually going towards starting a business, starting something of their own, they stay at the jobs they hate because they are afraid of failure, or they are afraid of not going after something. They're afraid of being judged, okay? Now I have another one. And feel free to let me know in the comments if you relate to any of them and if you're realizing some things, okay? So another one might be, I don't have the right knowledge. For example, I don't have the right knowledge to start a business. I don't have the right knowledge to show up online and speak on a live video. I don't have enough knowledge to become a doctor. I don't have enough knowledge to start something, right? And sometimes, a lot of the times, this is actually rooted in the fear of rejection, so being rejected by people, or fear of not being enough. Because somewhere in your life, something made you believe that you're not enough, that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're not capable, that you're not enough to be loved, that you're not enough, that you're just not enough. So sometimes this, I don't have the correct knowledge to start ... I don't have enough knowledge to scale my business. I don't have enough knowledge to earn a specific amount of money. It's actually rooted in that identity of, I fear I am not enough. Because you already know enough for you to go ahead after it. But a lot of people stop themselves. Okay, but look, okay, of course, sometimes you might not know enough in order to achieve something bigger than where you are right now. But the beautiful thing is that you can learn it, okay? But a lot of people stop on that fear of, I don't know enough, and they don't even go after learning it. They don't even try to learn it. And this is where it becomes problematic, okay? I have another fear. I have another fear to show you. You might be saying something like, I'm not good at this. So I'm not good at doing live videos. I'm not good at running a business. I'm not good at public speaking. I'm not good at painting something. I'm not good at creating. I'm not good at video editing, whatever you are telling yourself. This is most of the time rooted in the fear of judgment. Fear of judgment. Because you might be fearing that if you show up on a live stream and apparently you're not good at it, you're afraid that people will judge you. You're afraid that people will say something bad about you. Do you see where I'm coming from? You might be saying, I'm not good at sales. So you don't even sell at all because you're afraid that you will fail. You're afraid that people will judge you, misunderstand you. Do you see what I'm talking about? Most of the things that we say to ourselves when we pretend we are realistic or practical, or we are saying the truth, we actually have some kind of fear in between that. Okay? I want to give you another example. I don't have money for this. Or I don't have enough money. A lot of the times, this comes from the fear of lack, the scarcity mindset that you don't have enough. You have fear of becoming in debt or something like that. And majority of the times, this comes from the fact that you watched somebody in your life not having enough, not always saying they don't have enough, always being in debt, having to borrow money, saying no to everything that they wanted. So now, a lot of people are afraid to invest in themselves, invest in their growth, invest in a business, when in reality they do have the money for it, because sometimes starting a business can cost so little that if somebody might cancel subscriptions like, you know, Disney, Netflix, Spotify, YouTube subscriptions, whatever subscription plans you have, a lot of the times if you just cancel those, you might have enough to start something. But you're not starting it because in reality, you actually fear that maybe this is not going to work out. So you fear failure. You fear that you will not have enough. When in reality, we should remember that God is abundant and God will provide as long as you show up and do the work. So maybe you relate to this. I have another one. It's important to go to college. It's important to have a good education. It's important to go and study a specific thing so that you can have a good job, so that doors can open for you. And I'm not saying that this is wrong. What I'm saying is, a lot of the times people use this because there is a deep-rooted fear that they don't want to face. For example, the fear can be something like going against the norm. Going against the norm because people will not understand. So you fear that you will never be understood. You fear that people will judge you. You fear that you will lose friends in the process. You fear that your family will not speak to you. A lot of the times, people prevent themselves from going a different direction than the normal society tells us because they are afraid to stand out from the crowd. They are afraid that they are going against the norm. I'm not saying that this is always the case in all of these examples that I'm giving you, but a lot of the times there is a deep-rooted fear preventing you from actually going after what you really want in life. Okay? Let me give you another one. I can't quit my full-time job. I can't quit my full-time job. I can't change my job right now. Now is not the good time. It's hard to find a new job. Do you know that most of the time this comes from the fear of failure, fear of lack, fear of judgment? Because you don't want people to speak about you. You don't want to fear that you're going to have to do some uncomfortable tasks. When you quit your normal 9 to 5, your normal job, and you start a business, you fear that you're going to have to do the uncomfortable. So you say, it's better to keep my 9 to 5 because it's stable. And of course, I'm not saying everybody quit now. What I'm saying is, a lot of the times you prevent yourself from actually going all in into your business, into what you're building, because you have this fear that people will not understand, that maybe you will fail, that maybe people will judge you, that maybe you will have lack. When in reality, if you go all into your business, it's inevitable for it to work. There's no way for it to not work if you give it your all. But now you have to ask yourself, are you giving it your all? If you are giving it your all, it will work out. Okay? I have some more examples. Okay? So another example that you might be saying to yourself, because it's realistic, because it's practical, it's something like, it's better to be poor than rich. Who needs that much money anyway? A lot of people also say, all rich people are bad, right? So they don't even try to go. So there are people that talk about money all the time. They are broke. They complain about not having enough money. But then they say, oh, but it's better to be poor than rich. You know, rich people are bad. Do you know where it comes from most of the time? Fear of leaving people behind. Because when you become great, it's normal that some people will disappear from your life. And you already might be even experiencing that when you are growing, some people are separating from you. Some people are detaching themselves from you because you're no longer on the same frequency as them. So they don't see, like, they don't understand. They, for example, don't understand why you no longer complain. They don't understand why you're even spending your evenings working on your business instead of watching Netflix with them. People will judge you for that. People will not understand it. So a lot of the times, people say something like, it's better to be poor than rich. Who needs that much money anyway? Money is not everything. Because you're afraid who you're gonna leave behind in the process. Or you might fear change. This is actually really, really huge. Really, really huge. A lot of people don't understand and don't realize that they are actually sabotaging their own growth because of the fear of change. So you say to yourself, money is not everything. But in reality, you're just afraid to step out of that comfort zone, step out to the unknown. So you fear the unknown, you fear change and the unknown. So you're like, who needs that much money anyway? Money is not everything, because you're comfortable with the life that you have right now. You're used to it. It's a routine. It's a habit. And you might be afraid of the unknown because you've never been there. You never, like if you have never had $1 million in your bank account, it might be a little bit scary. What am I gonna do with this money? Will I even know what to do with it? Will I know how to distribute it? Will I know how to use it wisely? So a lot of the times, you are actually sabotaging your own growth because you're afraid what it's gonna do in your life. You're afraid what people will detach. You're afraid that you might change and people will no longer understand you. But you have to understand that money actually doesn't change people. Money, it's an amplifier. So whatever person you are right now, money is just gonna amplify it, make it bigger, make it louder. If you are already somebody who gives a lot of money, you are gonna give more whenever you have more. If you already love spending on organic produce, you are gonna spend on more organic produce. You know what I'm talking about? It's not, there is this weird concept somebody once said, and a lot of people apply it into their life and live by it, by saying that money is evil, that everybody who is rich is evil. That's not true. That's not true. And if it would be true, God wouldn't allow people who are Christians to use money. When Jesus was here on this earth, walking this earth, he used money. Does that make sense? When Jesus was walking on this earth, he was also using money to buy produce, to buy clothes, to donate. So how come people believe that money is evil? Because someone down the line said it. And yes, there are people who are evil who use money, but it doesn't make money evil. It's just paper. Money is just paper. People use money the way they choose, right? But sometimes, like I said, you might actually be sabotaging your own growth, attracting more money into your life because of the fears that you have underneath. Fear that you're gonna change. Fear that your life is gonna change. Fear that you will leave some people behind. But you have to ask yourself, what are you putting aside in the cause of that? Like, what are you preventing yourself from achieving? What are you preventing yourself from having by doing so? This is very deep. I have another example. What you might be saying to yourself because it's realistic or practical, but in reality, it's fear speaking. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to sell more. I don't have time to post more. I don't have time to do live videos. I don't have time to start a business. I don't have time for my education. I don't have time to wake up earlier and get ready and look beautiful. I don't have time to focus on my self-care. I don't have time to read more books. I don't have time. In reality, you know what this might be? A fear of discomfort, or fear of failure, or fear of burnout. Now we are getting very deep, right? Because who needs that much money? I don't have time for that anyway. Money is not everything. I don't have time to start a business. Why would I even do that? I don't think this is for me. A lot of the times, you sabotage your own growth because you are afraid that in the process you might burn out. And you know how this usually happens? Why you have this fear? I was meant to say why you have this fear. Because maybe in your life, you've seen somebody work so freaking hard to have money and they burn out. Maybe it even affected their health in a bad way. So now you think, okay, if I work hard for my business, if I work hard on these things that I want to build, I'm also going to burn out. Let me slow down. Can you relate to this? I used to have this fear. I actually used to have this fear and I would sabotage my own growth and my own development, because I believe that if I work hard, because I also had a belief that you have to work hard for money and for success. That's not true at all. You have to be smart in order to achieve success. It's nothing to do with working harder. But I used to sabotage my own growth because when I was growing up, my parents had a business and it drove them to so much burnout. They never had free time. All they did was work. So I had this belief, I had this fear that if I start a business, I'm also gonna burn out. I'm also not gonna have time for my family, for friends, for my spouse. I had all those fears. And you know what happened? I sabotaged my own growth. I didn't go all into the business, all into what I wanted to achieve, because deep down I was actually just afraid that I might burn out. And then I realized, okay, this is not true at all. Just because somebody else worked so hard in their life and did not work smart, this is why they burned out, that doesn't make it true for me. So sometimes we take on beliefs from somebody else's life. We take on their fears, we make them a fear of our own. We take their belief from somebody else that we watched in our life and we make it true for ourselves. So, like I said, sometimes you might be saying, I don't have time for it, I'm not cut out for it, I don't even know how to start a business, because you're afraid of failure, or you're afraid that you'll burn out. You're afraid that you'll have to work so freaking hard that you're gonna burn out and it's gonna drive you to the grave. That is gonna drive you to depression, that you will have no life outside of work. But is this really true if you work smart? You got me? I have another one. That's not who I am. So for example, I see all these influencers online, but that's not who I am. I don't want to show myself on camera. I don't want to, show myself. I started a business, but I don't want to promote it. I don't want to show my face. That's not who I am. That's not me. In reality, you are afraid of change. You're comfortable with who you are right now, and you're afraid of change. You're afraid of change. You're afraid that people will say stuff about you when you show up online. But who are you sabotaging then? Yourself or them? Your growth or their growth? What do you choose? Because it's your life. I have another one. This video is very strong, very powerful. But I have another one. It's too risky. It's too risky to start a business. It's too risky to invest in this. It's too risky to buy this. It's too risky to show up. It's just too risky. Majority of people have this fear. It's too risky. They're afraid to take risks because they're afraid of failure and afraid of uncertainty. And you know what? Here is the reality check. If you fear failure and you don't do anything because you're afraid of failing, you're actually living that failure already, because you failed without even trying. This is the reality. I had a real big fear of failure because my parents had a business. It did not work out for them. So for me, I was like, I used to believe that you work hard and you might not get anything out of it. You will work really hard and you will burn out, right? That it's risky to start something because I've seen people give their all, give their life, give their soul, give everything, so much time for all of it to not work. So I used to have a real big fear of failure. That what if I fail? What if I fail? What? And I had a fear as well. What if I never become anybody? What if I will just be a failure? Not even, oh, what if I start a business and it fails? What if I am a failure in life? What if I never achieve anything? And so instead of going after what I was supposed to do, what would change my life, I was stuck in that fear of failure and I was living the failure. So majority of these fears that we have, we end up living them. Whatever you are afraid of, you end up living it. Fear of lack, fear of change, fear of unknown, fear of failure, fear of uncertainty. And I have another one as well. This is really, really powerful. People won't like me if I do that. Right? People won't like it if I start a business. People won't like it if I show up online and try to sell something. People won't like it if I do live streams. People won't like it if I sell something on a live stream. People won't like it if I send them an email. People won't like me. People won't like me if I go against the norm, if I try to build something of my own. You know what this is usually the fear of? Fear of being alone, and of course fear of judgment. You know what? It's very funny. You probably see a pattern here. The most two common fears that people have is fear of failure and fear of judgment. When you get rid of those fears from your life, you will become unstoppable. But I am afraid I'll be alone because nobody will like me. If I start a business, all of my friends will turn away from me. Do you really want to have friends like this in your life anyway? Friends that don't support your growth? Friends that you need to stay down at their level for you to be friends with them? I don't. Because it's my life. I have dreams. I want to have beautiful things in life. I want to cause beautiful things in other people's lives. I have so many beautiful dreams of my own. If people don't want to, show up with me, they don't want to grow with me, it's better to be alone, because when you grow, guess what? You'll find like-minded people who also want to grow. And you will build a beautiful new community. And fear of shame. Yes, fear of shame. So powerful. So destructive over people's lives. So destructive. I'm ashamed of what I did. I'm ashamed of where I come from. I'm ashamed to show up online. I'm ashamed to speak because I have an accent. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of the way I grew up. This is not serving you, guys. Not serving you. And I understand, it takes time to get rid of those fears and those doubts that you have. But it's very powerful when you become aware of the fear that you have, because then you can get rid of it. Or you can do things even if you're still afraid. I have one more, final one to share with you. I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this success. I'm not ready for this responsibility. Like I said before, we sometimes sabotage our growth because we are afraid of what it's going to do in our life, who we're going to have to become, what's going to have to change in our lives, the people might need to get rid of, how you going to start showing up, how you going to have to speak, how you going to dress, where you going to walk, where you going to spend your time, what it's going to take. So we might be like, I'm not ready for this responsibility. I don't want the big responsibility of being a business owner. And usually, what's the fear? Fear of change. You might be afraid to change the way you live right now because it's comfortable. You're used to it. It's normal. If you've been living like this for 10, 20, 30 years, you maybe have this fear of change. Fear of expectations. What people are going to expect of me. Whenever I will be running a business, people will expect me to show up every single day. People will expect me to be there on time. People will expect certain things from me. I'm not ready to handle it. or it's fear of losing your identity. You're comfortable with who you are right now, and you're afraid that more money, more success might change you. Like I already said, we have this weird fear that money changes people. Money does not change people. Money amplifies whatever the person is already. Money amplifies. So if you are a good person, you'll be a good person with more money. You are given, you love giving to people, donating, you will donate more. If you're an evil person, you're gonna be an evil person just with more money. That's the truth. But exactly like I said here, you might be fearing losing your identity, who I am, or even stuff like this comes to my mind right now. You grow up in a certain way with certain habits, you know, making your own jam at home or cooking your own meals or stuff like that. And you feel like this is family legacy to carry this forward. This is so powerful now. Oh my goodness. You might be fearing that if you become more successful, these family traditions will go away. So maybe you sabotage your growth because you're afraid that these roots that you grew up in will be lost in the process and nobody will be making jam and nobody will have good values. But guess what? You can still be successful and pass these beautiful values to your children, to the generations to come. Because it's up to you what you decide. You'll have more money. Maybe you will even have more time to do so than if you work a normal job, right? Oh yes, mine is the last one. So powerful video. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear that. Because really, the stuff that came through me today, I was like, I already had the topic in mind at the start of the week. And then I was like, okay, what are we speaking about? And I just started brainstorming even more. And I was like, this is so big. This is so huge. So as you guys can see, a lot of the times, majority of the times, we are pretending that we are being realistic, practical, that we just don't live with our heads in the clouds, when in reality, there is a fear that's underlined under it. You're afraid to fail. You're afraid that people will judge you. You're afraid of the shame that it might come with it. You're afraid of lack. You're afraid of uncertainty. You're afraid of change. And most of us, I still have fears as well, right? It's a process we have to take throughout our whole life, right? But you might have fears. Now is the time to identify them. And I hope that this video helped you to identify maybe what fear you have. Because now that you identified which one you have, the power is in your hands to get rid of it, to work on it, to do things even if you're afraid of that. Start to get rid of this fear. Decide that this fear is not gonna determine your life. It's all about a decision. Everything in life, it's a decision. Everything in life, it's a decision. Starting a family, going for college, starting a new job, starting a business. All of it, it's a decision. Wearing the clothes that you wore today, it's a decision. The same way, you can decide what beliefs you are taking with you to the future and what ones you are not taking with you into the future. And the same way, you can decide what fears you are no longer gonna allow to play out in your life to determine where you're gonna be. Because you have been created to be abundant, to be beautiful, to be wonderful. You have been created to have more out of life than just live in mediocrity, and you have been created for more. If you feel that, you already feel that. I know that so many of you who watch me can relate to that. You always knew you are meant for more. Now is the time to start acting like it and stop letting those fears get in the way. And you know, sometimes you might need to work through those fears with somebody because you might not know how to get out of that place. So if you would love to work with me one-on-one, I still offer consultations where you can explore one-on-one coaching with me. And during the one-on-one coaching, I will help you get rid of the fears that no longer serve you so that you can live to your fullest potential. If you feel like this is for you, drop me a message. We can schedule a call and work and get to work so that you can become whoever you want to become in life, however successful, whatever you want to achieve. All those people that have it, they don't just have it because they are lucky. They don't just have it because this is not meant for you. They have it because they move even though they are afraid. They get rid of those beliefs that don't serve them. Everything is mindset. Everything is mindset. And some of us need more mindset than others. It's the truth. Everybody needs mindset, but some of us needed more. I can say from my experience, I needed a lot of mindset work. And that's not to say I still don't need it. Because every process that I take, every step that I want to go higher, I require more work on myself. Not because there is something wrong with me, not because I'm not good enough, but because I know that fears come up, doubt comes up. That's not even real. I just make it in my head. I made it true in my head. So it's important to identify those and get rid of them. So if you would like to book a consultation with me, just drop me a message and I'll be more than happy to schedule a call with you so that you can explore the one-on-one coaching. But I hope that you found this video useful. And I hope that it helps you identify some of the fears that you have. Now it's about the time to decide this fear no longer comes with me into the future. This fear, even if it will be in my life for now, because it's not easy, it's not like it's gonna just change in a day. It could, but a lot of the times it takes some time, okay? So you have to make a decision. Even if I have this fear right now, I'm not allowing it to define my life. I'm not allowing it to rule over my life. I am the master of my own life. I'm listening to God, God's truth. God tells me I'm powerful, I'm not fearful, I'm wonderful, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm wonderful. You've been created in the image of God. What does that mean? You are limitless, but you are putting limits on yourself. You're putting limits on God, what He can do in your life because of your fears, because of your doubts, because of your beliefs. So work on your mindset. Decide that this fear, whatever one it was, is no longer coming with you. And you will see that it's gonna change so many things for you in your life. I can guarantee. Because every time, like I show up online now, I do live videos. I'm not afraid to do live videos. But guess what? I'm not afraid to go live, but sometimes I'm still like, what if people won't like the video? I'm afraid of that. And then I'm like, is it even true? Does it even matter? So can you see that sometimes our fears are like so much BS? They're so much bullshit. Like they are not true at all. Because you show up and people say, what a great video. But we have those fears because of the things that we went through in the past, because of what we seen when we were growing up, because of what we did. Maybe we failed sometimes, because we made mistakes. But so what? So what if we made mistakes? So what if we failed? Or so what if other people failed? There's no point living in those fears. It's time to go. It's time to go and live despite the fears that you have. Stop allowing those fears, those things that I mentioned, right, to determine your life. Because a lot of the times we make excuses. I would even say that these things, the list that I gave you today, it's excuses. People use it to pretend that they are realistic, practical, smart, and they don't live in the clouds, when in reality these are excuses and they have underlined fear, like I already told you. So I think that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. If you feel like there is anybody who would benefit from this video, please share. That would mean the world to me, because I'm trying to reach more people. You know, these videos are very powerful. The feedback has been great. So I do want to reach more people, because I know that so many people need this, and I want people to succeed, because everybody deserves success and abundance and happiness. So I want to reach more people, and by sharing, you can help me do that. And I want to say to you as well that for those of you who just joined live, make sure you go ahead to my profile, like Facebook profile, so that you can watch this video from the beginning in case you missed it. And tomorrow we have Freedom Friday. So it's going to be another beautiful topic. I posted actually the whole schedule for the week on my stories and on my profile, so you can check it out. And if you missed any videos, they're available on a replay as well. And additionally, one last announcement. The previous live stream series that I did before, the 10 weeks, majority of the videos are being now added to my YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and watch the replays on my YouTube channel called Invisible Mindset, because now Facebook deletes live videos after 30 days. So I am going to be adding the most powerful videos on my YouTube channel so that more people can watch it, so that you can watch it in case you missed it. Okay, but thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate your time so much. I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Bye bye.